Maisha here, and welcome to my library. So July is over. Well, it has been over for a while now. We're like almost halfway into the year, into the month, sorry. And I read more books last month than I would usually read. I think the reason for that is because me and my best friend came to a decision that I am only allowed to read fan fiction on weekends, specifically Saturdays and Sundays. He says no Fridays, and he says if Monday is a holiday, it doesn't count even if it's a long weekend. So Saturdays and Sundays are the only days I'm allowed to read fan fiction nowadays, and it's a bit strange because I usually spend most of my time reading fan fiction. Like I picked that habit up heavily back in college when it felt like my entire life was falling apart, but I had to let it go. I had to move on. And so I read technically 5 books last month, but 2 of them is from that 10-part series. I don't think I've ever mentioned it. It's The Husky and His White Cat Season. So yeah, that, but I'm not talking about that. I think I want to do an entire separate thing on that series by itself. So I will be looking at 3 books today only, and there will be spoilers for these 3 books because I have thoughts. So I'll be looking at Nearly All the Men in Lagos Are Mad, one of the good ones, and Before the Coffee Gets Cold. Um, Honestly, I could have read a couple more books last month because I had the time, but sometimes and I also think that's why I read a lot of fan fiction. Sometimes I just could care less about learning and meeting new characters and their motivations. Whereas with fan fiction, I already know these characters. We're just flinging them into different scenarios, sometimes the same scenario over and over and over again, and that's fun. I don't have to know you brand new anymore, but like, yeah, I gave up like at a certain point in the month and it was just like, ugh. So, Nearly All the Men in Lagos Are Mad is a collection of dating stories from different women in Lagos. I gave it a modest 3-star rating, and honestly, the book was pretty mediocre. The reason I picked it up is because I came across a video on TikTok and it gave like a list of books from African authors you should read based on the opening line. And it said, "One night, you will calmly put a knife to your husband's penis and promise to cut it off." Like, obviously I picked it up because like I was interested. I wanted to see where this would go, and it didn't disappoint, but I felt like it could have done more. Reading different accounts of how dating is going, and it is going terribly for like all of them, was something else. And it was, I'm gonna be honest, it was a bit hilarious until it wasn't, and then we got to like the last story in the collection, and it's about this woman dealing with having to see her assaulter 16 years later to the date. Like the other stories were tragic in their own way, but this one, like, it hurt different, especially because this absolute trash human being told her that the reason he assaulted her was because she took too long to be his girlfriend. And I quote, "He said he did it because you took too long to agree to be his girlfriend, especially after he'd spent money on dates with you. You didn't speak, but you recalled it was 3 dates. You hadn't ordered anything on the first, you just had a Coke on the second, and a Coke and one meat pie on the third." Honestly, that pissed me off so bad because imagine thinking you imagine having so much audacity to believe that you have a right to that woman's body, that a woman's body is with 2 Cokes and a meat pie, that you can do whatever the hell you want with it. It's the fact that he had the audacity to tell her that next time he'd be gentler. Okay, sir. And like the other stories were about cheating and jealousy and not being able to settle down. And the first story, okay, so the first story was about a husband making his wife sleep with another man for money because he himself was too lazy to get a job. But it didn't hit as hard as this one. I don't know, it felt like this one twisted something in me a bit because she was with more than 2 Cokes and a meat pie. And like what bothered me about it is that, okay, so where she sees him is at her 7-year-old son's school. There's some event that is happening and he has a kid there too, and she didn't know that that was his kid. And so she's given some appreciation speech at the event, and then during the speech she calls him out like for assaulting her 16 years prior. And like I was like, okay, like I'm not saying that she shouldn't have done it, but like in a place with like all these children, maybe you shouldn't have done it. But anyway, so there was this one other story, A Lover's Vendetta, that had me gagged with how it opened. If we ever meet again, only one of us will leave this encounter unharmed. If I don't kill you, I will leave a mark so deep and prominent on your body, people will cross the road for you. Anybody with sense will look at the mark and know that only a worthless person will do something deserving of such a scar. Like, so I wanted to see, what did this man do? I'm gonna be honest, she would have been right to do that to him. She would have been right to hurt that man bad, because some men are just dangerous. Because what do you mean? Okay, we meet, we fall in love, we get married, blah blah blah. We want a family, so we're trying to get pregnant, we're trying to get a baby, you know. So we're sleeping together and nothing's working, we're not getting pregnant, we keep going to the doctor. They're saying nothing's wrong with me, that you have this uncle, your only family that I know of, and he keeps coming over with these like old-timey remedies, you know, and these nasty concoctions, and I'm drinking them, and I'm rubbing this here and I'm rubbing that there, and nothing's working. And then I find out that the reason I can't get pregnant isn't because of me, it is because you are infertile. You know you are infertile. Your uncle knows that you are infertile. And yet, the two of you have me in this like entire clown show doing all this stupidness to get pregnant when you cannot get me pregnant. Like, make it make sense. Like, these men were something else, and definitely have been too nice for that man, because what do you mean after I find out the truth, you and your uncle take all my money and you run? Anyway, one of the good ones I didn't like, and it's not that it was a bad book, I did rate it 3 stars, but originally I was going to give it 2. I actually couldn't get into this book like I wanted. It was really boring at times and a bit confusing with the jumping POVs and the timeline. And I don't know if I just don't mesh with these authors. Okay, so these two sisters, right? Back in 2023, I read a book of theirs called Dear Haiti, Love Elaine, and I also gave that one 3 stars. And it's not that it was a bad book or anything, I just didn't mesh well with it, and I think maybe it's just their writing for me, because also back then I think I went into that book expecting something that would make me feel like Breath Eyes Memory or Clap When You Land did. So that was kind of my fault. Like, I tend to go into that wasn't my fault, that was Goodreads' fault, because I'll read a book, then I will rate it on Goodreads, and they're like, you enjoyed this, so you'll enjoy that. They also did it with like All for the Game, like the series. They recommended me another book after it, and I was like, okay, yeah, I want to feel like that again. And it was a terrible book. It made me miserable. So I don't know if like when they say you enjoyed this, you'll enjoy that. Like, it's never really meshed well with me. I don't know if I just can't get the same high that I did when I read the first book. But yeah, I don't know. I just couldn't get behind your Haiti Love Elaine. But I was like, okay, I'll give one of the good ones a chance. Maybe I'll like it. So, one of the good ones, anything that bumped their star rating by 1 was the twist. Well, actually, I bumped up the star rating when I realized Shakira's relevance to the plot. But before I go into who Shakira is, one of the good ones mainly follows Happy, who is learning to navigate her new normal after her older sister Kezzy, an online social activist, was killed in suspicious circumstances after attending a rally in protest of police brutality after the death of another young black man by the hands of police officers. So in this, we get like a number of points of views, but the main ones that we do follow is Happy in the present and Kezzy and Shakira 3 months in the past, the day leading up to Kezzy's arrest. So when I first jumped to Shakira's point of view, I can admit that I was a bit pissed because who are you? Because who are you? Like, I felt like she wasn't, like, she just came out of nowhere. I felt like she wasn't adding anything to the plot, and I legit went, like, who in God's name is this? That was legit my reaction when she showed up. And then we started getting into her story, and I couldn't help but root for all of her dreams to come true. Even though deep down, I just knew that she was probably going to be another one of those tragic tales. Like, Shakira wanted to be an actress, and like, she was so close to having her dreams come true, but Shakira herself stated in the book that she isn't considered one of the good ones, and she's right. Society did decide that she wasn't one of the good ones, that she had no one who cared for her, that she was worth nothing. Shakira's point of view became one of my favorites to read, and when I realized that we wouldn't be getting any point of views from her anymore, I almost DNF'd the book, but well, like I was genuinely going to DNF the book because I was like, in no way. The only reason I continued is because I wanted to get like the specifics on what her fate was, and that ties into the plot twist. The twist is that Kezi, who has been dead for the past 3 months, isn't actually dead. The twist is that the body that they identified as Kezi's was actually Shakiria. Shakiria, who just wanted to be an actress, who just wanted to follow her dreams, was staged to look like Kezi by a delusional white man because she wasn't one of the good ones. But Kezi was. I'm gonna be honest, this had me quite heated because I learned to like Shakiria. She was the highlight in this book. She was so good no matter what they said. Her circumstances just sucked. But the story wasn't mainly about Shakiria. It barely is really. So Kezi gets kidnapped by her creepy stalker who wanted to atone for his family's past sins, where they lynched her great grandfather, and he felt that the best way to do that was by joining their two bloodlines. Yes, he was planning to marry the freshly 18-year-old that he had been stalking for months, if not years. Mind you, Kezi does have an older sister. I'm not sure how much older she is, but she does have an older sister who's been an adult for a couple years now. Yes, and he went for the child. Anyway, so there was a scene where Kezi's talking to her kidnapper. I think his name is Mark or Max or something like that. I feel like it's Mark. And when we first meet Mark, we don't even know that, oh god, it's a mess. Like, Happy and her sister, whose name I cannot remember, and Kezi's two best friends go on this road trip that Kezi had planned to complete after graduation. And they end up in this town and they meet Mark, but they don't know Mark kidnapped Kezi because to them, Kezi is dead, right? And Mark goes downstairs, so like he has Kezi in some room below some diner that his family owns or something like that, and like the sound isn't traveling up because he reinforced everything and whatnot. So this man goes downstairs to taunt Kezi after telling he goes downstairs to taunt Kezi, telling her that yeah, he just met her sisters and her friends, and like, oh my god, it was a hot mess. So there was a scene where Kezi is talking to her kidnapper and he is telling her how he managed to pull off her kidnapping, and he lays out the entire thing. So basically what he did, he was a police officer. Well, he worked in a police station, and he was leaving to go back to his hometown to take care of his ailing father. And Kezi walks in that day and he says that he felt like it was fate in that moment, right? So he lights a fire in the bathroom to, cause a distraction, and like that it catches on really quickly. So like the police station is kind of on fire from what I'm understanding. So Shakiria is in one cell. Did I mention that? Yeah. Shakiria is in one cell and Kezi is in another cell, right? Shakiria has asthma. The police station is on fire. She's pleading with a female police officer that she cannot breathe. The female police officer walks away. And then we find out how he staged it. So basically what happened is that he realized that Shakiria and Kezi looked quite similar. So what he did is Shakiria dies, smoke inhalation, an asthma attack. He takes her body, he puts her in Kezi's cell, he puts Kezi's jacket on her, and he leaves her there to burn. So that's why they were unable to identify that actually wasn't Kezi. So he's telling Kezi, who doesn't know what happened, about it, and he tells her about the girl who looks so similar to her that he let burn in her place. And when Kezi asks him what the girl's name was because she wants to remember her, this trash had the audacity to say that he didn't know because she wasn't important, because she wasn't one of the good ones like Kezi. And the thing is, Shakira was a person, and to this man she was nothing, because she grew up in foster care, because she got arrested on a drug charge, because she wasn't an activist. Like, to have the confidence of a white man to dictate who is and isn't worth living. If I'm being honest, my thoughts and feelings on this book revolve largely around Shakiria. She saved this book for me. If Shakiria's story wasn't in there, the book would have gotten 2 stars, or maybe even 1, because because like I could have cared less what was happening on Happy's end, if I'm being honest. Like, and that little rekindling of that romance, could care less. I was only here for little bits and pieces about Shakira. The book about time travel, Before the Coffee Gets Cold. So it's, I gave that I rated it 5 stars, and I don't really have much to say about this one. I liked it. Like, it had a couple flaws, but I did like it. So basically, there is a cafe in Japan that can send you through time, but there are rules one must follow, and most don't find it worthwhile because like it's not really worth it, if I'm being honest. So there's a specific seat in the cafe where one must sit to time travel, and they're not allowed to leave that seat once they have gone to the past. Anything that happens in the past cannot change the present, and you must drink the coffee before it gets cold. So you understand why most people wouldn't find it worth it, because what is the point in traveling to the past if any action you take in the past wouldn't have any effect on the present? So I'm gonna be honest, like, I was talking about this book to someone and I was like, I give it 5 stars, and they were like, you gave it 5 stars, but it sounds like you hit it. And I was like, no, I liked it. I gave it 5 stars because I enjoyed it. It just had some issues, and at the end of the day, it's like that's how I read my books. Like, I'm not looking for anything groundbreaking. It's whether or not I enjoyed it, and if I enjoyed it, you can't get 5 stars. I rarely give out 5 stars though. So my main issue with this book is that it has a bit of a repetition problem. So it's separated into like 4 different parts, and each part focuses on a different pairing or reason to travel through time. So there's the lovers, husband and wife, the sister, and mother and child. And in each part, the rules are explained. Now, this wouldn't be a problem because that's kind of the premise. New people enter the cafe and you explain the rules to them so they don't get stuck in the past or however it goes. I cannot remember the exact logistics. But with each part having the rules explained at least once, it is still repeated a ton of times within the same chapter. It had me losing my mind a bit, if I'm being honest. Because, like, so in The Lovers, they'd explain the rules to her, and then she'd repeat it to herself maybe like 5 times. And then in Husband and Wife, like, she already knows the rules, but they reiterate the rules to her, and then she's in the past and she's still repeating the rules for herself. And that's how it went for each of them. Like, it was low-key a bit irritating. Something else I've seen people complain about is that this book is essentially forcing women into stereotypical roles. Like, the first part is about a woman time traveling to have one last collection with the boyfriend she broke up with. The second is about a wife taking care of her husband with dementia. The third is about a sister giving up her dreams to fulfill her deceased sister's dreams, and the fourth is about a mother choosing to give birth knowing she will die. I don't know, those seem like pretty simple concepts to me. I wouldn't say it's like taking women and shoving them into stereotypical box. They're saying that because all 4 stories are about women doing things like that, like, it's a bit of an issue. But like, I personally wouldn't say that is any problem or any issue or anything like that. It seems pretty normal. That's just how these 4 stories in this one book turned out. It's a part of a series. I haven't read the rest of the series, so I don't know how the rest of the series goes, but like, there are women who do things like that. There are women who, if they were given the opportunity to go back into the past at least once, so that they can, tell their first love or the love of their life or their favorite ex or something, tell them something, they would take that chance. There are mothers who would give birth there are mothers who do give birth knowing that they will not be there to raise their child, but knowing that they will have people who will love them unconditionally. Like, these things happen, and like, I get where they're coming from, but I feel like we need to allow some grace at times. Yeah, these are the 3 books that I read in July. Some of them were interesting, some of them weren't. Wouldn't really recommend any of them. Okay, well, I guess I would say I can recommend Before the Coffee Gets Cold, but it did take me a while to read that book. So I wouldn't really recommend them to anyone, but this has been fun, and thanks for visiting my library.